Welcome to another weekly edition of Around the Ice Fantasy Hockey Podcast, presented by Fantasy and Frames. I am your host, Brian Toast Clark, and I am joined tonight by a very special guest, my brother from the same mother, Gail Clark. You can find the podcast, our podcast here, on YouTube at Fantasy and Frames, Keeping Four Eyes on the Puck. You can also find us on X at FIF Hockey, and everywhere you may listen to your podcast, you can find us at Around the Ice Podcast, presented by Fantasy in Frames. Gail, thanks for joining tonight. I know you've actually really enjoyed your first year in fantasy hockey here, but you're as plugged in as anybody actually know. But how do you like doing this compared to, let's say your past experience of gambling, hockey, watching hockey? What do you actually really like about fantasy hockey?
Well, compared to gambling, I can't lose any money here. And I was a dumpster fire of losing money on bad luck, everything. I've always been the guy that would get the three legs of the parlay, and then the fourth leg would fall apart on something incredibly strange. So I like this better. If something strange happens or if something doesn't happen that I'm expecting, then I don't lose any money. You guys usually do a gambling segment. I'm the guy you could have on. I could make picks, and then everybody could go the opposite, and they'd probably bankroll off of that. So I like this way better. I'll leave the gambling to people that are a little luckier than I am.
Yeah, absolutely. What I like about fantasy hockey, and I think we talked about this before, and maybe listeners actually agree, is just like any fantasy sport where you have your buy-in, whether it be $50, whether it be $100, whether it be a free league, right? And you're just enjoying it or whatever. I would say winning that, let's say $300 or $400 at the end of the year and actually winning the championship. And also, let's say if you're in a dynasty league and you're actually building that team and it's actually been 3 or 4 years in the making, is much more enjoyable for me than actually the ups and downs of daily or nightly gambling. We're, like you said, last night, I think I had a couple dollars left in my account. It has been a horrendous gambling year for me, which I really haven't played with much money. But with the money I've actually played, nothing has actually went right. Last year I was red hot, couldn't do anything wrong. Where I even actually had Patrick Kane for an assist last night at plus 125, and he's been an assist machine of late. And I look at my phone, and Detroit's actually won the game 4-0. I'm like, well, it's going to go, right? Because Kane's been hitting assists like crazy. So is Mort Sider actually hitting assists, and neither one of them had an assist. That type of thing is dejecting for me. But when you actually have a fantasy team, you always had tomorrow, right? At no cost to you, right? All you have to do is actually check the waiver wire, make a trade, set your lineup, look at the lines, get really excited about if your guys bumped up the line 2 or from 2 to line 1, power play 1 as well. So I like that engagement more. And you also have the comfort of being, let's say, your own GM, right? Like we are truly actually running our own teams, and we're treating it, especially let's say you're in a cap league, you're really treating it like you are actually running a franchise. So no different here. But Gail, will eventually actually happen to get you. I know you're in a couple leagues this year in your first year. You're in our home league. And you're also in a league run by Dauber as well, Dauber Hockey. And I think Victor Nuno, our buddy there, he's actually running that league. But eventually we have to get you in a cap league, because cap leagues are just a whole nother level there, and they're a whole lot of fun when you actually start managing the money side of it. Okay, so what we're going to go ahead and do right now, we're going to skip our gambling segment. Normally we actually start off with a gambling segment. Tonight we're skipping that, and the reason being is because we don't have any games that start at 9 p.m. Central and on. Every game's already started, and we're not really going to go through live bet opportunities here. So we're going to go right into our Around the Ice segment.
Oh, the good old hockey game is the best game you can name. And the best game you can name is the good old hockey game.
Now, Gail, before we start going, taking the listeners around the ice, I noticed you got a pretty nice shirt on. And I don't know if you actually want to just, reveal what's on your shirt there, but that may be the best hockey shirt I've actually seen in a long time. It looks like something I would have printed out at Reg's Pharmacy back in the early 80s.
Well, this shirt came straight from my fantasy hockey team's headquarters, and I know it's been a topic on your guys' show before, you guys being extremely jealous of the name of my team. So just to kind of back up and stand up a bit.
Oh, yes.
We've got the Whalers Dick Honey fantasy hockey shirt. Probably soon to be available on Amazon, $49.99. Proceeds going to Whalers Dick Honey Hockey so that we can get into some more free agencies.
Yeah, and Gail, I like that. You know what? You're right. You're going to pour all of that Whalers Dick money right back in to your franchise, and that's what you should do, right? You're committed to winning, and you go so far to actually print up shirts. I swear to, in no time at all, everybody's going to actually want a shirt like that. I mean, if the listeners don't know, this is really in honor of Bill Paxton on Weird Science. He's talking to Kelly O'Brock, and so basically the Whalers, and then hey, anyway, why don't you go and watch the show? If you haven't watched that show, I'm not going to say this is not the podcast for you, but I'd like for you to go ahead and correct that if you're a listener. Watch that show, then come back next week. Gail's going to be a reoccurring guest from time to time. So we actually have him on. I know JT's at a concert tonight. Aaron's got some family obligations, so we actually bring in the goon off the bench, and that's Gail with a Whalers Dick Honey shirt. So very, very happy to have you tonight. But Gail, let's jump right into the action tonight. We're talking about Tampa Bay at Montreal. It's a 6:00 start tonight, and Tampa Bay really actually takes it to Montreal. A struggling Montreal team, I'll actually say, from a fantasy perspective. Really, Cole Caulfield's about the only one actually doing a whole lot there. Nick Suzuki will get his assists, and so will Ivan Demidov. But from a scoring perspective, Caulfield can't carry that entire team off his back. The whole Noah Dobson thing, I'm not saying it hasn't worked, but from a fantasy perspective, it actually hasn't been come to fruition. And Lane Hudson actually has not been setting the world on fire like he did last year. But Tampa Bay goes into Montreal at the Bell Center there and actually just puts a beat down on them, 6-1. And Gail, I noticed here, you may want to talk a little bit about Braden Point because your guy, you actually traded for him earlier in the home league. You're sitting here at New to Fantasy Hockey saying, when is this guy going to get going? I'm telling you, hey, have patience. Braden Point is Braden Point. He'll actually he'll go on just a scoring barrage. You just wait. And tonight he actually wakes up here. He has a goal to start it off, getting 1-0, and he actually finishes up on a power play in the third period with an assist, a goal, and assist on a score sheet tonight. But what do you have to say about Braden Point?
Braden Point is alive. I think I texted you that as soon as he scored the goal, and that was the first goal of the game, first couple minutes of the game, actually. He had 4 shots on goal last night in the game, so you're thinking, okay, he's back from injury. He has 4 shots on goal, looking like he's a little bit more in the flow of the offense. Wow, I was relieved when I saw that. I saw that I'd scored, the 4 points for a goal, went and looked. I was like, oh, my God, it was Braden Point. And I know a lot of Braden Point owners have been on the ledge for a while now, wondering what the injury was, but it's more before the injury. 21 games played. The guy had 3 goals. And even being from I'm an amateur when it comes to watching hockey, but I know who Braden Point is, and he's not 3 goals in 21 games kind of guy. So a goal tonight, an assist tonight. It killed me to watch Tampa Bay just offensively light it up in the last 8 to 10 games, putting up shots on goal, putting up a lot of goals, and there's no Braden Point even on the ice. And then last night he comes back for the first night and they lose 1-0. I'm jinxed, Braden Point's not going to do anything. But tonight, completely comes back, gets the goal, gets the assist, 4 shots on goal again. I don't want to get too big too early here, but gosh, if he could just do this, put a couple strings together of games like this, it would get me off the ledge. I think you guys have said it before. I traded Matthew Schaefer for him. Our league is Dynasty Bangers. So I'm thinking, I've got some guys that can fill the categories for me. And Matthew Schaefer being a defenseman, I went ahead and rolled the dice. I got Braden Point. I just wanted a little more offense at the top of my order. But good Lord, he's got to get going. I think he will. I hope he will. I'm biased, and I think he needs to for me. But he did tonight, and happy for it.
Yeah, so Gail, I'm almost guaranteeing, and maybe listeners agree here as well. Point actually took some time off, right? So he took the 6 games off there. He didn't play between November 22nd and December 8th. And what he actually comes back in that first game back. You're like, hey, he didn't do a whole lot, but he did. 4 shots on goal. right? Tonight,
Right.
actually, a couple of shots on goal as well, and it would have been more than 2 shots on goal. But they didn't need him to do a whole lot because that game was in hand tonight. He comes back, and you actually have almost 19 minutes in time on ice the first game back, and 17:44 tonight. It would have been more if they needed him. He would have played close to 20, if not over 20. They didn't need him to do that. I do wonder if Braden Point was actually playing banged up. There's no reason for him actually not to be on the score sheet other than A, bad luck, or B, an injury. And right now, I almost would guarantee it. You're going to see a Braden Point moving forward here that's going to set the world on fire. Him and Kucherov. And Kucherov's been an assist machine. He's really started to heat up. And what you know right now, I want to throw a stat off here to the listeners as well. Here's the previous 3 years on shot percentage as well for Braden Point. 21.7, 20.3, 22.1. This year, 8%.
Yeah.
So that's all you need to know. Yeah, you're going to get the best of Braden Point moving forward. He is going to go on a 2 or 3 week bender here, where he's just going to be like unbelievable, and he'll be consistent throughout the rest of the season if he's healthy. He had to be banged up. There's no other explanation for it.
I think the word we're looking for is berserk. We need some guys
Yeah.
that are absolutely berserk.
Yes, I like the word berserk because, I mean, honestly, it's funny for one. I'll tell the story.
And there was a video game called Berserk that you could play.
Which was that was an Atari game, right?
Oh, it was a stand-up arcade game, and then I think they did make an Atari game out of it.
Okay.
Anyways.
I mean, I see berserk and like kamikaze, like one and the same, right? So either way, it's really dangerous. It's reckless abandonment, and I kind of like that. So if he's being reckless on the ice and he's actually just going balls to the wall all in, I'm all for a Braden Point balls to the wall type of player moving forward. I think you're going to get that. Kucherov tonight gets a goal and assist as well. He's been on an absolute tear of late as well. The Kucherov of old, right? He was also kind of quiet to start the season. But Darren Radish, who's this guy, right? But, you get an injury, there for Victor Hedman. He's been out a couple games. Darren Radish has actually established himself on that top power play. Well, Radish has 2 goals tonight. And I was just going to actually sing his praises even before tonight, because if you go back and actually look, man, I would say over the last 10 games, you're looking in a neighborhood of somewhere around 8 assists and like 3 or 4 goals, 11 points in the last 10 games. And the time on ice is actually really good as well. Darren Radish could have been had in most leagues, I would say, a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I did notice in the news here that Hedman's out of the game tonight. He left the game early tonight again. Hopefully it's nothing serious, but yeah, you're right on Radish. I didn't pick him up. You didn't pick him up. Somebody in our league did pick him up, I know.
Oh, yeah. Jeff. Yep, Jeff Daler actually picked him up. About a week ago, and he had an intuition that time. But man, he is on the biggest run of his career. And this comes from a guy who basically was undrafted. He's 29 years old. It's so good for him. It's awesome. But Darren Radish can still actually be had in a lot of leagues here. He's 73% owned on Fantrax right now. Honestly, go look and see if Darren Radish is available in any format, right? In any format right now, and go get him. You need to ride his wave while it's hot. Andre Vasilevsky's hurt. I don't know how serious it is. I'm assuming it's actually a day-to-day or something like that. Johansson actually gets a start tonight. Actually comes up with the easy win. Tampa Bay actually had lost 4 in a row coming in tonight after winning 7 straight, but they actually go into the Bell Center and actually just beat down the Montreal Canadiens, who actually had their own problems here. So, but let's move on to the second game of the night. As we continue to go around the ice, New Jersey visited Ottawa tonight at a 6 p.m. Central start. And Gail, I always want to talk a little bit about Ottawa. Before I do that, was there anybody that you actually want to talk about on New Jersey, or can we just go right into Ottawa?
I tend to focus on my own guys in our home league. You said I was in 2 leagues, but honestly, the home league really matters to me. I know you, I know JT, I know Aaron a little bit. I mean, I know the guys in our home league a little bit. I don't know anybody in my Dauber league. So I tend to focus on guys in my home league. I've got Jesper Bratt. I've got Dougie Hamilton. I got Nico Hershier. And the Devils, they went into Ottawa and won 4-3 tonight, had a really good win for themselves.
Yeah.
And I'm like, sort of like you were when you were disappointed that Kane didn't get the assist after 4 goals for Detroit a few nights back. Those guys factored in none of the 4 goals. So
Amazing.
good win for them on the ice in real life. From a fantasy perspective for me, I didn't get in on any of that. The 24-year-old Russian winger they got, Arseny Gritsyuk, he was involved in everything, it seemed like. You go back and look at the score sheet tonight, and he's all over it. And he's a guy that I've actually talked to a bit with the guy who owns him in our league. Like, could I get this guy potentially? He shows a little bit of promise, but he's all over the score sheet. On the Ottawa side, I'm going to mention my boy Drake Batherson. JT traded him to me before the season started. He had a huge night tonight for Ottawa in a losing effort, but gigantic. I think he's been pretty good all year. You'd know more about his background, what he's done in years past. But, man, he's doing solid work for my fantasy team. He really is. He was a good pickup.
Yeah, absolutely. And Ottawa, 13-11-4 on the season, and they actually lose tonight 4-3 to New Jersey, where New Jersey actually get a late third period goal by Cody Glass, who's actually serviceable in some category leagues as well. He'll get you some faceoffs. He's got a 6th goal of the season. But I really do like Ottawa now. With Brady Tkachuk back, they get their captain back, and I think when you have Dylan Cousins, Tim Stützle, Drake Batherson, and Brady Tkachuk, and all 4 of those guys were actually on the score sheet tonight and actually did very, very well. You're going to have a really good season. I've always been an Ottawa fan. I'm very, very excited. Chucky, since he's come back, 4 points in 5 games, and then tonight he actually has, let's see, 1 assist, 2 assists. 2 assists there, and he's going to fill up the sheet with some hits as well. Shane Pinto out until December 20th. And replacing him on line 3 was center Ridley Gregg. And I had wrote Ridley Gregg's name down. I've actually had him in Dynasty from time to time here. And wouldn't you know, Ridley Gregg, I would say, did not have a bad game tonight. He did not actually find a score sheet tonight, but 16:37 on ice time and 5 shots on goal, a hit in there, 5 faceoffs won as well for those who are in category leagues. That may be a pickup, especially with Pinto actually being out at least the next 10 days. You may be able to stream Ridley Gregg. I would assume he's probably only 15-20% owned in most leagues. And Fabian Zetterlund as well. Zetterlund has been a guy that's been hot. Tonight, he actually didn't do a whole lot with only 12:37 in ice time. He did have 3 hits, and Zetterlund will get you hits, but he's been hot with the goals of late. So, Ottawa, man, they're in the mix still, 13-12-4. Doesn't sound very good, but that Atlantic division, it's super packed. From top to bottom, it's kind of anybody's game. They're all packed up there in a bunch. So Ottawa loses tonight at home versus the Devils, 4-3. As we go on around the ice, and I love this segment, guys. We're going to keep going doing this. Vegas at the New York Islanders. And we actually have, let's see where we're at with this game right now, 4-4 in overtime. So right now, I'm going to go ahead and say Bo Horvat has a couple goals. My guy, I got him in Dynasty. That is 19 on the season for Bo Horvat. And Gail, there was a guy I actually want to talk about here with Vegas, who is the winners are 4 straight. But 3 of those 4 have actually come versus Calgary and Boston. So I really don't know actually what to say about that. But there's a guy on Vegas named Braden Bowman. And Bowman's actually getting some great deployment. 22-year-old undrafted rookie so far, 9 points in 13 games. And I believe he had an assist tonight. And I'm actually checking right now. And sure as shit, he actually did. Ivan Barbashev goal. Your guy, Ivan Barbashev, with his 11th of the season with a Jack Eichel assist and a Braden Bowman assist. That is their top line. And, man, he's got 5 goals on the season. Now he's actually got up to 10 points in 14 games, 16:30 of ice time. Again, line 1, Eichel, Barbashev, still only rostered on 33% of all the leagues as well. Bowman was a guy who John Martini picked up in our home league, I would say maybe about 3 weeks ago. And if you picked him up, you're actually loving life right now. He's been really, really good with a great deployment.
Yeah, speaking of Barbashev, I consider him what I've heard somebody use as a phrase, a floor guy. He's a great guy. I consider him not one of my top guys, but man, the guy's consistent. He has a goal tonight. And you're right about Bowman. I don't know how many guys out there in fantasy are just like me. You do some research, you realize, oh, this team's called this guy up and he's going to have to play a role here because of injuries. And by the time you're done researching him over the next day, then somebody smarter than you in the league has already picked him up. And that was John Martini in our league that got Bowman. Other guys like Jack Roslovic for Edmonton was another guy. It's like, oh, he's going to play the top line. Maybe I should get him. And before I could even click anything, somebody else had grabbed him. So, Bowman's a guy. It pays off to know who's who and know who's got to come up if there's an injury.
Yeah, absolutely. And, it's funny. Like, a guy like Bowman's going off, and then you kind of been waiting for a guy like Marner with Vegas to actually kind of get going. And, well, he's starting to get going. 6 points in his last 6 games. He is getting some odd deployment. He's with Howden on the line too, and I think mainly maybe injuries have actually brought him there as well. Mark Stone, he's kind of like Josh Norris, who we may actually talk about Josh Norris here later on, often injured, right? But Vegas is really balancing those lines out, which that's what good teams will really do. But Marner's starting to go, and Eichel's starting to go again. And Eichel had that amazing October, man. I mean, it was the best player in the NHL in October. In a quiet November, you're like, okay, he must not have done it, but it's not like he didn't actually have good games. He shot 5.4% in November. So I just think he actually needed a little bit of luck. And wouldn't you actually know, since the calendar's actually churned here in December, he's been really, really good, looking like the Eichel of old. 2 assists tonight, 4 shots on goal, 7 face-off wins, and almost 25 minutes of ice time here as well. It looks like that game with the Islanders is going to go into a shootout, and it is. 4-4 ends in a shootout. If anybody actually probably picked a draw on that game on a betting card, you're probably looking at plus 300, plus 320. You're actually loving life right now. And Pavel Dorofeyev, another goal tonight as well. Shea Theodore with an assist. And Mark Stone. Mark Stone is probably going to have the most points per game in the league with the games played, right? And it's just, again, keeping him healthy and actually on ice. But Vegas, I think, is starting to get a little bit more healthy, and I think you're going to see them actually coming on there. I like them moving forward. All right, so we got San Jose at Philadelphia Flyers. So, Gail, you actually got some Flyers here. Philly is actually on your team. Philly is surprisingly good. Now they're 16-9-3. They've won 7 of 9. And Gail, I know you've been trying to actually get Trevor Zegras on your team for at least 3 or 4 weeks now. And he seems to be kind of the guy for Philadelphia right now. 26 points in 27 games, 10 goals, shooting 15%, which is very, very good. It's very sustainable. But I know you were actually you like Zegras. Is there anybody else on Philadelphia you actually like as we talk about Philly getting a big win, 4-1 tonight?
Yeah, well, with Zegras, I tried to get him because I was seeking out guys that would shoot the puck and guys that would fill the score sheet with goals and assists. So he's got, like you said, the 26 points in 27 games. On the ice in real life, aside from fantasy hockey, he's done great. More unheralded maybe on the ice, and a guy that I know drives Flyers fans crazy from time to time is Travis Konechny. I have him on my team. And from a fantasy perspective and the points we play in our league, he's actually above Trevor Zegras on our fantasy point sheet. I wrote Konechny's name down. I mean, nothing in real life hockey actually is going to look that impressive. Everybody's played about 30 games now. Konechny has 7 goals and 17 assists. He's actually right on pace with what is usually what he does. He also adds 41 hits, 21 block shots.
Nice.
So those are the peripherals that you got to look for in a bangers league like ours. So when I got him, that's what I was thinking, is that this guy is going to fill a score sheet in multiple ways. So you got those guys in the league, maybe like Zegras, they've got to score on the ice. They've got to have goals. They've got to have assists, and that's how they make their way onto your fantasy score sheet. Konechny's one of those guys. He'll come out, he'll have an assist, he'll have 3 shots on goals, he'll have 2 penalty minutes, he'll have 3 hits and a block shot. And then you look at the end of the night, you're like, he was like my 3rd highest scoring guy here tonight, and he didn't even have a goal. And he's been consistently like that for me. So you've got your fantasy angle where if you're in a bangers league, Konechny's done really well, filling up across the spectrum of scoring, where Zegras is your guy that you want to have a goal or an assist, and that's how he's going to go on the score sheet. I think you need some of both of those kind of guys on your team. That way you've got a little diversity. So some nights you get in a high-scoring game, there's a lot of goals. You want some guys like that. But you get in a bunch of games that are 1-0, 2-1, and they're all on a Tuesday night when everybody plays. give me Konechny, give me some bangers, give me some guys who are going to score you some points. So you've got that floor underneath where maybe when guys aren't having goals, then you've got your Travis Konechnys that are going to come and score you some points with some blocks, some hits, some penalty minutes. And you've got a couple of those guys on your team as well. He's my guy when it comes to that right now. So I know he pisses Flyers fans off from time to time. They think that he needs to do way more of that big contract. Over at Whalers Dick Honey headquarters, Konechny's our guy. I mean, we're always patting him on the back and saying what a great job you did last night. So keep it up.
Yeah, and you know what? You bring up some great points regarding just the scoring in general. I heard you say is if you're in a bangers league or if you're in a category league that actually counts hits, blocks, maybe penalty minutes as well, and a little bit of the peripherals as well. Konechny is a great an asset, and he may not actually show it on the score sheet every single night, but then again, 24 points now. He got a goal tonight and an assist, I believe. So he is up to 25 points now and close to 30 games. And for Travis Konechny, who actually give you the hits as well, you got to really like that as well. I like Philadelphia's balanced scoring. Tippett, 19 points. He didn't score tonight. Konechny, 25 points now. Couture, he's old, right? All he's going to do is assist, but the majority of his points are assists. At least you know what you're getting, right? 17 points going in tonight. Christian Dvorak, and Dvorak's been around. He was a Montreal Canadian there for a long time as well. I also think he was actually with the old Arizona Coyotes. But Dvorak, a surprising 17 points coming into tonight. And Matvei Michkov. Michkov's actually better deployment. They're finally starting to use him like he actually should be used. He's on line 2. He's on power play 1. Again, he just needs more time on ice. They actually just started to need to give him 17, 18 minutes a night instead of 13, 14 minutes a night. I think Michkov's actually going to be really, really good as he learns to play that 200-foot game and learns how to defend, right? They put him in every situation. They trust in him. He's going to get more and more ice time. That's going to come. But a guy I really want to mention before we get off Philadelphia here, and I can't believe we're spending this much time on Philadelphia, but we're going to. Noah Cates. Noah Cates is surprising. 15 points coming in tonight, and wouldn't you know, he gets another goal. Only 24% owned. So now he's actually up to 16 points in 28 games. He'll give you 25 hits, 25 blocks so far. But I like the fact that he has 17, 22 in average time on ice. That's huge, right? So, again, you can have Noah Cates if you want him. I'm thinking about putting a waiver in for him tomorrow. Riding that. I'm actually looking right now to see specifically what Philly's schedule is actually looking like. And here are the Flyers. Actually have a Monday or Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, fine, but they have a Sunday game as well at Carolina. And then if you actually look at them next week as well, Philadelphia, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. So not great, but not awful there either. I like a Noah Cates there. So, and Gail, I'm going to also mention too, Philadelphia actually hosts the San Jose Sharks tonight. And who is this guy I'm going to keep calling Steffi Graf, right? So Steffi Graf actually gets a goal tonight. And he keeps screwing around getting goals and a couple of assists. I mean, I didn't really realize that Steffi Graf actually married some guy named Steffi Graf and actually come in and actually started scoring goals in San Jose. But I don't care if his name is C. Graf. I'm not sure what the C stands for, but he's Steffi Graf in my book.
No, I think it's actually Colin Graf. And
Steffi.
All I know is that he's a 23-year-old undrafted free agent. They had him working up from the bottom line. So mainly on line 3 when I've seen him play. He has minor league eligibility on the fantasy side. So the person who has him in our league can shuttle him back and forth between their minors roster. That gives you a lot of, once again, it gives you a lot of options if you can have 3 or 4 guys that can shuttle back and forth like that. And they have him now tonight. You saw it. He's on line 1. So they've been messing with their lines. They've got Smith and Celebrini now with Graf. And of course, Graf's the one that's the unheralded one. Everybody's like, well, who's this guy? Well, once again, it's another one of these guys that if you're paying attention, you picked up last week. I think somebody in our league already had him for a while, but now you're getting to ride the wave and see if he's going to keep producing because he's done a nice job.
Yeah. 70 career games. So last year he got 33 games, and this year 30 games. So in a lot of leagues, if you're in Dynasty, you'll be minor eligible for so many games. I know our league is 82 games. But then I'm also in the leagues where you get 200 games played before you end up not having minor eligibility. So again, a guy who can be pretty valuable. And the fact I like as well, from Steffi Graf, who I actually heard actually has a really good backhand. He's got 30 hits on the season and 24 blocks as well in 30 games. So I mean, you're pacing out for almost 160 to 170 combined hits and blocks in a bangers league as well. He needs to shoot the puck more. Only 29 shots in 30 games, but nevertheless, for a guy 23 years old, undrafted, looking really, really good. So, and if you're in a dynasty league for a cap league as well, of course you're getting him on the ELC contract, $950,000, and any deal that's coming up is going to be small, right? You're probably looking at a couple $1,000,000 because you're going to be on that third line traditionally, but right now he's getting great deployment. So,
and the fact checkers behind me say no relation to Steffi Graf.
Yeah, I beg to differ. I'm guessing he probably is related to Steffi Graf. So
yeah, back to the family tree, they probably connect up somewhere. You're right.
Exactly. I mean, so let's just come out and just say it. I mean, he's probably married to Steffi Graf. So, wait a second, wasn't Steffi Graf actually married to Andre Agassi?
Andre Agassi.
Yeah, I wonder if we'll have to look into that and see if they're still married. So, but she wasn't the one that got stabbed, right?
Well, on a tennis note, the greatest tennis player of all time was Tom Hanks in Bachelor Party. I just
oh my gosh,
in there
yes.
Since we got to make movie references every once in a while. I mean, if you can't keep the ball in the court in tennis, you might as well double slam baseball, swing it over the fence, and then go crazy.
That was awesome.
Ever.
Yeah. Yep. Awesome. And you know what? Hey, Gail, tonight we actually also, as we continue to go to Round Ice, this is going to be a long segment, guys, because I enjoy the segment. We're cutting out the gambling segment, but we're going to go around the ice here. Anaheim actually goes to Pittsburgh tonight, and man, what a wild game. The Ducks actually win at Pittsburgh 4-3 in a shootout. Beckett Seneca actually scores a goal for the Ducks with 1 second left in regulation to actually push overtime, and the Ducks come out there with a win 4-3, gets them to 19-10-1. And I really wasn't prepared to actually speak about the Ducks. I really want to talk more about Pittsburgh. Going into this game, they were 14-7-6 and winners of the 4 of their last 6 games. And there was a couple guys I wanted to talk about. I'm not going to talk a whole lot about Crosby. Crosby is one of the best 5 or 6 players to ever play the game. The fact that he already has 20 goals already or something or close like that is just stupid, man. And nobody should be surprised. No one should be surprised. And I don't really understand why, kind of like Ovechkin, every year we're surprised. We should not be surprised at this point because he'll do it again next year. That's what he'll do. He's got a good line mate there in Brian Rust. He's been super consistent. But Gail, in our Bangers League, we're always looking for those guys that actually hit, block, contribute a little bit offensively. And Parker Wotherspoon has actually done that this year. He's available in our league. I don't think he'll be available for too long, but getting over 20 minutes of time on ice every single night, 26 shots on goal, which is not great, right? But you don't expect him to actually do that. But 26 PIMs. I love the fact that you got 53 hits and 40 blocks. That's a lot of blocks. That is a lot of blocks. You're up to 93 combined hits and blocks there. And again, 10 points in 27 games for a Parker Wotherspoon, who I guarantee you is probably only about 20-25% owned in most leagues. And if you're in a Bangers League, you can't have enough of those defensemen. Tonight, he actually has a shot on goal. He has a hit, and or 2 hits and a block, and 19-21 of ice time. A -2, right? But again, if you're in those deep leagues, I like Wotherspoon. He's actually been available in most leagues.
Yeah, it seems like in our league, the way our scoring works, if you can get a defenseman, and we have to start 4, most of us are carrying 6 or 7 defensemen. If you can get a defenseman in our league that's averaging 3.2 fantasy points, that's pretty good defenseman in our league, the way the scoring works. And he's been consistently over that, and he's still out there. I think there's a guy from Winnipeg that's in a similar boat statistically in our fantasy league, and that's Logan Stanley.
Yeah.
Those are the 2 top of defensemen still available in our home league, and they're both 3.2, 3.3 points right now. Heck, Matthew Schaefer in our league is like, what, 3.7? So, I mean, these guys are right underneath, and they're getting it done, like you said, just by going out there and banging people, knocking people around, a lot of time on ice. Yeah, I saw Weatherspoon was available as well. Stanley's the other guy. But like you said, if you and I have been in the habit now of kind of counting up blocks and hits, we know they're worth a half point in our league each. So it's almost like some people have the strategy of they're lower end guys. They've got to be guys that are going to hit and block shots. And then if they get you the occasional goal, great. but they're going to fill up your stat sheet. They're going to give you that floor of points in your fantasy league. There's not anything exciting about them if you're watching them on TV, but man, you're watching your phone and it's flashing and flashing. It's like, yep, he's out there knocking the crap out of people. And it makes you excited if you like that brand of hockey.
Yeah. And talking about Pittsburgh here as well, Tristan Jarry, he didn't go tonight. Silvos actually started tonight and didn't have a great game, but again, he's a backup. Jarry's been really, really good for Pittsburgh, and that's been a surprise. I mean, everybody wrote him off last year. He had an awful season last year, as Pittsburgh did as well. But I was looking on Fantrax in general today, and out of all the top 20 scoring goalies in fantasy, he has the lowest owning percentage out of any goalie in the top 20. I think right around 58, 59%, somewhere around there. Tristan Jarry's he's 9-2-1 with a 254 and a 913 save percentage this year. For a surprising Pittsburgh team now is 14-7-7. I think Jarry's probably worth a stream, especially if the schedule is actually going to line up. He's going to get the majority of starts. We talk about those volume starters, guys that actually 82 games, they're getting 60 starts, right? That's what you're looking for. Jarry's going to be a guy's going to get 60 starts. But tonight, Ville Husso actually stole that game for Anaheim. Anaheim had no business being in this game. They were outshot 47-28, but Ville Husso, 44 saves out of 47 there, a 936 save percentage, and keeps them in that game. 1 second left, they score, and then they win the game in a shootout. So Ville Husso, still alive, actually gets the Ducks a win there.
Well, I'm also looking at it here, Brian, and Seneca's goal was shorthanded with 1 second left. So he got a shorty there at the very end. That's got to be a gigantic win. Can you imagine that locker room after the game? I'm betting those boys were having some fun after the game. I don't know how often you, JT, and Aaron do rumors, but I'm in the habit of during the day going to Twitter and just kind of looking at different NHL rumors and whatnot. What's the rumor? Have you heard the rumor about Jarry in Pittsburgh?
No.
Edmonton.
Oh,
that's the rumor. They keep getting connected. You keep seeing Tristan Jarry connected to possibilities with Edmonton, and I don't know how much you get into that, but he's splitting some time in Pittsburgh. I think, like you said, probably a number one guy if he keeps going like this. What if he went out there? But those are some things I keep seeing when all these guys that think they know a lot are like, hey, these are the rumors. This is what it is. But I don't know. You could speak to that, whether that would be better for him, worse for him, what that would impact as a fantasy angle if that possibility came to fruition.
Yeah, I would. If I'm Pittsburgh, I know that, hey, even though I'm 14-7-7, I don't think anybody expected them to actually be there. And this is really kind of it wasn't really even a last hurrah. This is more of not a rebuild, but a retooling for Pittsburgh. And if I'm Pittsburgh, I'm definitely interested in moving Tristan Jarry. Now, you got to see what's at the trade deadline, right? So March, that's when it's a long time from now. So if Edmonton's still actually in the mix and are actually looking pretty good and solidified there in a playoff spot, and Pittsburgh's actually falling off at that point, then Tristan Jarry definitely is in play, and you can actually really strike with iron's hot right now. And I would definitely do that if I was actually Pittsburgh. In Edmonton, we all know how much they actually need stability at the goalie position. That's been their Achilles heels. And Stuart Skinner has actually not had a very good season at all. Surprise. We'll have to take a look at. We'll have to keep our eye on that. Edmonton, we know they're going to need a goalie, and Jarry could definitely be that for sure. We actually, as we continue to go around the ice here, Blue Jackets traveled to the Hurricanes tonight and lose 4-1. Prior to that, Columbus had actually won 6 of their last 7. Gail, I actually wrote down a guy's name here that I've really been following a lot. The fact that I like Russian players for one, but two, and really Columbus has a bunch of them. But Dmitry Voronkov, for a bangers league, man, he is really, really good. So going in tonight, he had a goal. He had a goal again. So now he's actually got 21 points and 30 games. He has 40 PIMs, over close to 60 shots on goal, close to 50 hits. And getting a great deployment. Adam Fantilli and Kirill Marchenko. He's getting to play with those guys. He's on PP1 as well. He had been quiet over the last 10 games, but here's what I always like to see when guys are actually quiet for a while. What's their deployment, and how much time on ice they're actually getting. And he's had great deployment. And I know Marchenko had actually been hurt for a few games as well, so that may actually hurt as well. But he's actually he's actually getting over 16 minutes time on ice over that period as well consistently. So I like Voronkov a lot. Zach Werenski, man, we talk about guys on a bender. He is on a bender. I don't believe he actually saw that. Let's see if he actually score sheet. No, not on the score sheet tonight. But man, the Werenski, check this out. 19 points in the last 10 games going in tonight. And now he's got 30 points in 29 games, 107 shots on goal, and a whopping 26.44 average time on ice a game. This is Werenski last year. And nobody actually thought he could actually sustain what he did all of last year. It took him about a month to get here, but he has been on an absolute tear. This is exactly what Zach Werenski did last year as well.
Yeah, on a side note with Columbus, I have 2 goalies that I have in our home league, and Jet Greaves is my one that I have along with Igor Shesterkin. Man, I keep waiting for Jet Greaves to go on a run. He got beat tonight in Carolina. I know they were leading 1-0 at one point. I'm like, all right, man, we have a shot for the shutout here later on because Carolina hasn't scored any goals. In the last 4 games, I think they've scored 1 goal in 3 of those 4 games, respectively. So I thought Jet would have a chance tonight, and they get beat 4-1. The last goal was an empty netter, but he's been pretty solid. I know Elvis has been awful in goal for the Blue Jackets. I think somebody put out a goals against average today for all NHL goaltenders, and Elvis was like 54th. So Columbus needs Jet Greaves to step up and act like he did last year in that quick run at the end of the season in the playoffs. And if he can do that, you've got other guys in front of him. I think like Werenski, like you said, they're studs. So they got a shot. I tried to get Voronkov in our league, going into the fantasy year when I didn't really know much. I went around and looked. I was like, who's not like great players that I can go ask if I can trade for? And I went for Voronkov, and I got the standard. I really like him coming back from the person who owned him in our league. And if you ever do any trading, when you've got a potential trade partner that sends you a text that says, well, I really like this guy, you can put the phone down at that point. Usually you can put the phone down because they're not going to move that guy. And the person who has him in our league wouldn't move him. And that was his 11th goal tonight.
Yeah, and funny you actually said, you're learning pretty quick. But then again, you got to understand too, Veronkov's a guy that's actually done hard labor. So those guys actually really know how to get it done on the ice. He's from Russia.
Well, he's got a name that we can pronounce at least. I mean, I appreciate that. Voronkov's pretty simple. No problem.
Yeah. Anyway, again, Jackets going to the Hurricanes tonight actually get beat 4-1. Gail, I'm gonna leave the studio for a sec. I'm gonna pass this over to you, but we want to actually talk about one game that actually is already it's actually ongoing right now. Bruins at Blues. Right now we got a 3-2 game. Halfway through the third period. My guy, Gail, we've been talking about him in a trade. Mark Kastelik, 2 goals tonight.
I should have traded for him this morning when you were going back and forth with me. Like, maybe I'll give you Kastelik because I don't know. He's never been in double-digit goals in a season.
No.
I mean, I know he hasn't been around for long, but he's usually like a 5-6 goal per year guy.
Definitely. And 3 shots on goal tonight, 3 hits, 3 blocks. That's why I have him. The 3 hits, 3 blocks, right? He's only got 11:37 time on ice. He's going to be lucky to get to 14 or 14 and a half minutes for this game. You don't expect the goals, but any goals or any points is just icing on top of the cake. And he's got 4 faceoff wins as well. But there's another guy that's been on the Bruins that I'm going to let you actually chat about for a second, and that is Alex Steeves. Tell us about Steeves.
Yeah. Once again, you kind of comb the waiver wires. You look at the lines that are being created during their practice sessions. And a couple of weeks ago, I noticed that a guy I had never heard of, Alex Steeves, was showing up on the Bruins lines. And then Pasternak obviously was out of the lineup, and they had to shuffle some things around. They actually had a couple different guys out of that lineup. I think Victor Arvidsson was also out of that lineup. So they had to shuffle some people around. And up from the AHL, they bring Alex Steeves. I was just interested. I go in and type his name in a search. I start doing the research, doing your due diligence, like, who is this guy? Find out that he's a former Toronto Maple Leafs pick. And over the last 4 years, They had called him up each year, and he had scored, or I'm sorry, he'd been in a total of 14 games played over 4 years. And you start reading scouting reports and reading some things at Dauber, and they're like, this guy has a high offensive upside, and he's never really been given a chance. He's just been in a crowded Toronto system with some of those guys and some of those teams they had. So the first thing I noticed about Alex Steves a week and a half ago or so, 2 weeks ago now, was that in the first game or two he played, he was hitting them blocking shots. And I was like, I'm kind of looking for a streamer, somebody that will just come in and score a few points a game. And this guy has to play due to the injuries. That's why they brought him in here. So I went ahead and just picked him up. We can roster, 21 players. He essentially became my 21st guy. And I think it was in game 3, he had a multi-goal game. And then a couple nights later, he did it again. And right now, I wrote down his stats. He's played in 14 games going into tonight. Tonight was game 15. 6 goals, a couple of assists. But here's where it gets big from our Dynasty Bangers perspective. Alex Steves had hit 53 people in 14 games and blocked 13 shots. So he's out there just knocking the shit out of people. And he's a guy, when you go and you look at his game by game, every single number, every number that he's putting up in the fantasy point tally, you can live with. You're like, that's decent. That's decent. Oh, he had 2 goals. That's great. Kind of like Kastelik tonight. Yeah. You don't expect it, but boom, there it is. So right now, if I go and look at my fantasy points per game, literally Alex Steves is in my top 5 right now after 14 games played. He was averaging a real robust figure. And I talked earlier about how somebody smarter than me got to Jack Roslovic before I did. And then somebody smarter than me got to Braden Bowman before I did. But I'm going to pat myself on the back with Alex Steves. Now, ride the wave. Maybe it won't last. Pasta did come back tonight. And he's obviously going to be put with people on that top line. Tonight, they left Morgan Geekie on that top line with Alex Steves. I have not looked at time on ice to see what Pasta did, whether they just put him out there full blast or whether he came back and he was limited a little bit. Because when they say upper body injury or whatever, we never know what's actually wrong with anybody in hockey. I've figured that out too. But my goodness, if you can get a guy like Alex Steves and you can stream him for 3 weeks and he's your 5th leading scorer in fantasy, that's great. That's what you're looking for. So I got lucky on that one. If he can keep up any semblance of this whatsoever, if they keep him around, then I will have got a steal. So when you see somebody's name pop up on left wing lock when you're just, bored or trying not to listen to people in your living room and you're scrolling your phone, throw their name in a search, check out who they are, figure out whether you think they're going to stick based on injuries, give them a roll. I know a lot of you guys got a lot of fantasy moves left, a lot of free agent moves. Put the guy on your roster, give him a look for a week or two, decide whether you want to keep him, and then punt him if you don't. So Steves was my guy right there, and I don't know what he did tonight, but it doesn't even matter what he did tonight for me. 14 games played. The guy has went out on the ice, and he's been a superstar for me through 14 games.
Yeah, and superstar, you say, as far as banger formats, right? So keep that in mind.
In our bangers format.
Yeah, in bangers formats, he's just dynamite. And tonight, he's had a great game as far as bangers go. He's not on the score sheet, right? He doesn't have a shot on goal, no PIMs, 6 hits and a block.
6, yeah. So
yeah.
In our format, he scores 3.5 points. And in our format, if you can have your players score 3.5 points per night, you're going to be near the top of our league in the standings at the end of the year, the way that I kind of mathematically lay it out. So he's that floor guy you're looking for.
Yeah, absolutely. And him and Castell kind of cut from the same cloth, right? Where both of them actually had about the same time on ice tonight. And really, Boston, they really level all that time of ice for the entire team. They're playing all 4 lines fairly equally. No forward here actually has a ton of time on ice. They've really just evened it out tonight. And that's kind of what they do. And even Pasternak's only got 14 minutes of time on ice, and Steve's got 11 and a half, right? So that's probably 2-3 shifts more, right? That's not like a ton. You got to like actually what you're seeing there, especially if you're in a bangers league with Alex Steves in Boston. He looks like he has a very punchable face, but nevertheless, with a guy that hits and blocks like that, I mean, what do you expect? So,
one other thing, Brian, and I told you this last week. He'd been up and down with Toronto for 4 years, over 14 games. he is out of waiver moves. If Boston decides they don't want him and they're going to send him, they can't. So
Yeah.
he would have to clear waivers. And with this kind of a run, this kind of production, does he clear waivers? Probably not. So I knew when Pasta came back, we'd have to have a wait and see, what they're going to do with some of these guys. Maybe like Castellic, he's been playing on the third line. Do they shuffle Steves to the third line, push Castellic to the fourth, or do they play on the same line? How are you going to balance this all out when you've got some guys that are those big brawling banger types that you're looking for? Right now, I know that Boston has Mark Castellic playing on the same line with Tanner Gino, and they also have Fraser Mint centering that line. That's like an old NHL 94 Sega checking line out there.
Mm-hmm.
You go look at those guys and their hits, their block shots, they're fighting with people. I don't know. I guess it's supposed to work that way in Boston, isn't it? Because that's what they're doing right now.
Yeah, they absolutely. And everybody's surprised by what Boston's doing. Nobody's surprised the fact that they're going in the Blues tonight and beating them 4-2. I mean, the Blues are just not that great and not really going anywhere quick. But as we talk about teams that are actually going somewhere, we got a really good game tonight. This is probably the game of the night. My thought is Dallas visits Winnipeg tonight, and 3 minutes left in the game. Stars are actually up 4-3. The Stars actually jump out to a 3-0 lead, but then Winnipeg's actually chipping away here. Mikko Rantanen, 3 more assists. Mikko Rantanen is actually proven right now the fact that he hasn't lost a step. He's the same player he actually was in Colorado, and it was going to take him actually a year to actually get acclimated with Dallas and all the superstars they actually have that he's playing there as well. With I would imagine that that Rantanen, Wyatt Johnston, Robertson, those 3 right there, that may be the best 3 trio in all of hockey right now. I really believe that. I mean, you look at that, you're like, wow, like what more can you say? Mark Scheifele's got a couple of goals in that game. And Gail, you mentioned Logan Stanley earlier. But Logan Stanley actually comes up on the score sheet, gets a goal here late to make it 4-3. Again, Stanley's another banger's dream where anything you're actually going to get on top of the bangs there, and you get a goal, and you got to love that from Logan Stanley. But man, Dallas is 25-5 on the season. They are just absolutely rolling. Rantanen right now is actually rolling at about 117 or 118 point pace after the 3 assists tonight. He's on pace somewhere for ridiculous of close to 37, 38 goals, around 77, 78 assists on the season. I mean, again, anybody actually thought he was going to lose a step, and actually just because he got traded over to Dallas, he's not. He is the old Mikko Rantanen of old. Jamie Benn, another guy who's not on the score sheet tonight, but Ben, he hadn't played a game since November 18th. He actually comes out. He's got 9 points in his last 11 games going into tonight, and he's got 20 hits to actually go along with that there as well. With only playing 13, 16 time on ice a game, but he's getting good to point with Henson Robertson on line too. I expect that time on ice to go up. Dallas is a team that actually likes to kind of spread out the wealth, not actually waste those guys on the top line and get all 4 lines going. And especially with a guy like Sagan actually out, he's probably out for the season, and it probably is. Ben's going to be even that more important. They get Matt Duchene actually comes back from injury too, but I think guys like Duchene and especially guys like Ben can flip a score sheet there and do a little bit of everything, especially even at his old age. So you got to love what Dallas is doing. Gail, 2-0 Sabres. We talk about all the struggles there, but
did you see the Tage Thompson goal? It was almost like a comedy highlight reel. Evan Bouchard turned it over literally a foot and a half in front of the goaltender, and poor Stuart Skinner would beat again, right in front of the goal.
Yeah, that actually happened to the Blackhawks' advantage the other night, where somebody actually left the puck right in front of the goal, and Bedard actually went and got it and actually scored there. But Tage Thompson with a goal and assist tonight. Josh Doan, a guy you've actually been calling the praises of lately, his 9th goal on a power play. Rasmus Dahlin, but 2-0. They're going into Edmonton right here, and it's 2-0. And you know what? Here's what's a telling tale of that. You're over halfway through the second, and Edmonton. This is not Edmonton.
11 shots on goal.
Yeah, no, actually. Oh, you know what? You're right, because they actually pulled a goal. Did they pull a goalie?
No, yes. It's the second period, and Edmonton has 11 shots on goal.
Yep, 11 shots on goal out. So you got Lyon and also Ellis both playing time in this game. I don't know if there was an injury. I'm sorry. Yeah, for Boston. I'm sorry for Buffalo there, but Skinner 17 shots, but Sabres only actually had to face 11. They have actually used 2 goalies here. I'm wondering if there was an injury there tonight, either Line or Ellis. I don't know who got that start, but that's what you need to know is the fact that only 11 shots on goal. We got 8 minutes left in the second, and they're down 2-0. That's not Edmonton at home. It's really not. And this has been going on all year. I don't see light at the end of the tunnel of this thing getting fixed.
By the way, Buffalo's on a power play right now. So as soon as it was 2-0, interference call puts Buffalo straight back to the power play, and they're clearly the aggressors on the attack here. You got to love this ESPN Plus. I'm watching 3 games at once, plus I'm on with you. And Buffalo just made it 3-0. Josh Doan again.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Doan's. That's his 10th of the season. Man.
Power play goal.
I think Doan's only 20 or 21. I mean, obviously he's got the pedigree, right? I mean, he's going to be a fantastic player in this league for a long time. And again, a guy who's going to have minor league eligibility in those dynasty leagues for at least another year. So get you some Josh Doan. I mean, if you going to try to get Josh Doan now, you're going to give up quite a bit to actually get him. And Tage Thompson, another assist. So Tage's been quiet of late. The peripheral's actually been very, very good. The numbers underneath the hood, as they actually say, have actually been very, very good. Just a little bit snake bitten there, but Tage Thompson with a goal and 2 assists tonight, 3-0 Sabres. Gail, I'm not going to have you talk about Norris for the sake of time here, but let's just say that Josh Norris was a scratch tonight. We knew it was coming, right?
Yeah, I did see last night when they played, there was a little bit of a scrum in front of the net, and a couple different guys ended up on the ice. Didn't look like anything serious. But I was like, damn, Norris is on the ice. He's like actually on the ice laying down. He blocks a shot. And in the back of my mind, I was like, I wonder if he'll play again. And he's out. He's late scratch tonight. By the way, the Doan goal to make it 3-0 is a highlight reel goal where the puck went between his feet and then he beat the goalie in the 5-hole. So
wow.
It's going to be one that everybody's going to go back and watch the way that he stick handled that puck.
In our last game of the night, Colorado is actually visiting Nashville there, and it's a 2-2 getting ready to come up on the end of the first period. It actually does hit the end of the first period. What do you know? Hey, Josh Manson, my guy, actually gets an assist there after, really just beating the hell out of everybody on the ice like he likes to. Arturi Lekkinen actually gets a goal, late goal there for Colorado. And Martin Necas and Nathan McKinnon. I want to talk about McKinnon just for a second. Going into this season, I thought that everybody was crazy calling McKinnon the number 1 player in fantasy hockey. I'm like, hey, what about Connor McDavid? I got to eat those words. Nathan McKinnon is the bona fide number 1 fantasy hockey player in the world. Colorado, if they win tonight, they'll be 22-2-6. The 21-2-6 start with a plus 49 differential to 29 games. They joined a 1979 and 1980 Flyers. I think that's the Broad Street Bullies, maybe. The only team with 1 regulation loss in the first 26 games of a season. What they're doing is kind of like what the Blackhawks actually did, equivalent in the strike shortened season of 2013. When the Hawks actually started out on their way to the Cup, they actually started off the season 20-0-3 on that season. I mean, imagine that a Blackhawks team actually did that. But we talked about how great Mikko Rantanen has actually been. Martin Necas has actually replaced him very well. Necas having one hell of a season. He got his 26 assists tonight. I think he's got somewhere around 14 goals. He's running around 40 points in the top 5 or 6 in scoring. He has taken that Mikko Rantanen, and both teams have actually just really benefited all in all from those deals that were actually made. Gail, we're going to move to our next segment here. We probably have we got a little bit more time, but we're going to go ahead and have you actually talk a little bit maybe about some up and comers. So let's go ahead and talk about those guys.
And you, young Skywalker, we will watch your career with great interest.
So Gail, who do you like coming up the ranks?
Well, I wrote down a few names. I don't think any of this is going to be eye-opening as far as the names that I selected. AHL, I'm basically looking for guys that are young, 20-year-old, and guys that are off to a real hot start. I don't think these names are going to surprise anybody, but I'm going to start with your guy, Brian. I'm going to start with Nick Lardis, playing up in Rockford, Chicago Blackhawks affiliate. Lardis is 20 years old. I mean, this isn't off anybody's radar by any stretch, but 20 years old, he's got 24 points in 22 games played. So
big time.
You're loving that because he's on your minors roster. Your minors roster is absolutely loaded. There's been even a guy in the past week I've been trying to get from you, Justin Carbonell, who I've been trying to get out of the St. Louis Blues system, but out of your minors roster in our fantasy league. But you've got some big-time names in that fantasy minor league pen that you've got, and Nick Lardis is one of them, and he's playing really good. You start looking at that Chicago Blackhawks farm system, which I know you and Aaron and JT all like to talk about, especially you and Aaron. Man, they're loaded. They're going to have to trade some of these guys. When you start looking at all the names in a Blackhawks system, they are going to be in a position to go and get somebody gigantic. And you Blackhawks fans, I know you love to mention, we got to get Tage Thompson. Well, if the Sabres ever want to move him, I mean, the Blackhawks would be a natural trade partner because they're just absolutely loaded with guys. They've got Vanaker, they've got Bem, they've got Nick Lardis. And I know you guys have mentioned this guy numerous times on your show out of the KHL over there in Russia. Another name that I can pronounce pretty well, and a name that I'm sure people are going to figure out quick around these parts, is Roman Kanserov. And every time you guys do a show on a Tuesday night, and I know you're going to mention some young guys, you're going to mention Kanserov. I'm just waiting for Kanserov to go like 3 or 4 games without scoring a goal or a point, because that would be just human nature. It's natural that he can't keep this up, right? But he is. Every time you turn on, get your phone and get to Twitter and you type in Roman Kanserov in that search, there's another highlight reel playing of Roman Kanserov. And it makes me sick to my stomach because, as you know, I used him in a trade piece when I got Travis Konechny and Braden Point. I understand people aren't feeling sorry for me when I say that. Man, when Roman Kanserov a year or two from now, when he's possibly doing something, if he's gigantic in the NHL, then I'll be remembering that I owned the guy once upon a time. The knock on him is that he's short. He's 5'9", and people are kind of wondering, how will it translate when he gets over here and he's playing an NHL game. The one thing about Kanserov over in the KHL that I wrote down on my sheet tonight, and I've known this because I've been following along on Quant Hockey because, I'm a hockey fantasy nerd now and I have all those apps on my phone. But what I noticed is that the dude has 43 penalty minutes. So he's 21 years old in a man's league over there. He's got 43 penalty minutes. And when you start looking around that league, top 20 scores, they don't have that kind of penalty minutes. There's highlights of him fighting guys on Twitter. And what's that mean in fantasy hockey? Well, in the bangers format, is he going to get over here and be so involved in plays and so aggressive that he's getting penalty minutes? Because if you got him, you want him to be. So he may be that guy. But Lardis in the AHL, Kanserov, obviously, the KHL. Another guy back to the AHL that I'm going to mention because I have this guy. Now, I can't take the credit. When I was trying to set up my fantasy hockey team here at the beginning of the season, I didn't know literally anything. And I need to set up a minors system. And you said, hey, go put a free agency bid on this guy. And you just told me, you said you wouldn't do it. You let me do it because you knew I was trying to build a roster up because I didn't know anything. And you said, put some money on this guy named Ilya Protas. And I did. I didn't know who he was. Of course, everybody knows who he is now. Ilya Protas, AHL, Hershey Bears. What a great name, by the way.
That is awesome.
19 years old, 6'6", 225 pounds. Obviously, his family. He's got the pedigree. I'm looking at his stats this year, but before I give you the stats for this year, let's go back 2 years to when he was 17. So when he's 17, he's playing in the USHL, and he put up 51 points in 61 games played. Okay, he steps it up the next year as an 18-year-old. It's the year after his draft year. So what is that, D+1, I think you guys call it. OHL, and he goes 124 points in 61 games played. So this year at 19 years old, he steps up to the AHL, and people are thinking, okay, he stepped up. He's playing a game with grown men now. 20 points in 20 games played, including a 7-game-in-a-row goal streak that just ended here a few nights ago. There's rumblings that this kid may be ready, like at some point soon, to get a look. If there's any injuries to that Washington Capitals roster, would they call up Ilya Protas and give him a look? The only thing with Protas that I've read about and been told by people that are way smarter than me is that He's a physical player, but maybe not in the way that you're thinking. He's not going to go and look to knock guys into the wall. He's not throwing his body on the ice to block shots, but there's a lot of contact initiated against him, and he fights it off well. So he projects as a goal scorer. He projects as a guy who's going to score you those fantasy points with goals and assists. He's not going to shy away from contact, but maybe on the fantasy side, he's not going to be one of those guys that goes out and gets you 100 hits in a season. Maybe he will. It'd be great. But right now he doesn't project like that. But Ilya Protas, 20 points in 20 games. I'll give the viewers one name. You guys may have mentioned the name, and this isn't a young guy necessarily, going back to the KHL. But if you're in a league, and it's a pretty shallow league, if you're in a league with friends and it's 10, 12 teams deep, you might be able to get this guy. And I'll let the viewers go and look this up on their own. But you can go and you can look at Vitaly Pinchuk. Us Americans will look at his name. It looks like Pinchuk. Chuk at the end, but it's Vitaly Pinchuk. You know, when you start listening to Russian KHL highlights on Twitter, I'm learning some Russian, and they pronounce it Pinchuk. But they're looking at him. He's an undrafted guy, but the season wraps up. There's rumblings that you've got teams that are interested in signing him now. Go watch some highlights of this guy. When I saw highlights, I swore that he was like 6'5". 6'1" on the roster sheet.
Wow.
He looks bigger than that. And I know, Brian, you've seen a highlight or two. Man, in the highlights we've seen, just a couple of them, he's smooth. He looks like a big, long gliding kind of guy. And I picked him up for $1 a few weeks ago just to stash him, just in case anybody in our league noticed him or read anything. And I just went and grabbed him. Who's the guy on the Rangers that was grabbed last year in a similar fashion? Was it Shabanov?
Oh, yes, it was. If we're actually pronouncing that correctly, but yes, Shabanov.
Yeah. So,
no, that's not the Rangers. Islanders, I believe. Right?
Islanders. Sorry, yeah, the Islanders.
Yeah.
So yeah, last year it was what is it, Maxim Shabanov that everybody was like, this guy's going to be the man. He's going to come over, and now he's getting a little bit of chance with the Islanders moving up lines. Pinchuk could be that kind of a guy this year or next potentially. If he's not, you just punt him. But if he is, you keep him around. He'll have minors eligibility. And he'll be an older guy, but maybe like Arseny Grinchuk that you've got on the Devils, same kind of thing, maybe without the same kind of draft pedigree because he was never drafted. But those are my guys: Lardis, Protas, Kanserov. Obviously, I'm not recreating the wheel, and give Vitaly Pinchuk a look if you're in a shallow league and people aren't stashing him yet.
No, that's a great call out, Gail. I mean, I'm glad that the whole Protas thing actually worked out. I knew that was actually going to be a good get when you're actually starting up your rebuild of what your dynasty league was, and you had the Sedin sisters over there in Vancouver. Eventually you're going to have the Protas brothers over in Washington as well, heck, who knows? You may end up having the Hudson brothers as well in Montreal. So we got some tandems actually coming, and then there's all the talk regarding Quinn Hughes right now, actually trying to get reunited or united anyway with his brothers there in New Jersey. And that's I was talking with somebody over today and saying even though the free agency class really kind of fizzled out, right, because it just went away because everybody signed during season this year, and that UFA and RFA class that was going to be coming out was going to be dynamite. It's really not anymore. But now you kind of got guys that are actually going to be on the free or on the trade block come deadline that are really kind of like, you got to treat them like your free agents. And you're going to see a lot of movement at the deadline. There's going to be some big names moved. Again, I'm hoping Tage Thompson's one of them in a Blackhawks sweater. That would be amazing. But Quinn Hughes he's going to go. He's going to go somewhere. You got to think New Jersey is actually going to want to get him. They're going to want to give up. And it's going to take a haul to actually get him. But you got to look at the teams that actually want to get him and specifically what they can give up. And you got to look at teams like San Jose, also teams like the Blackhawks, who has the best farm system in all of hockey. So it's going to be a really, really wild, not only second half of the season, we got the Olympics coming up. We're not even the halfway point of the season here. We'll probably got about another 2 weeks for the halfway point. But then we got the trade deadline actually coming up in March. We're about halfway through our fantasy hockey season. We're in week 10. Most seasons, leagues actually go anywhere from 16 to 19 regular season weeks. We're basically there. So you're going to get a good indication on what your team's actually looking like here. I am going to axe the last part of our show here when it talks about schedules and pickups here because for the sake of time. But all I'll say is this schedule is pretty spread out this week. I don't think there is the number of games on this schedule that there normally is actually going to be for our fantasy dynasty roster. We actually have 30 on the active roster. I'm only able to actually get 90 starts this week. Normally, we're actually able to get over 100. I just don't think they're actually the starts are there. So, but you got your Tuesday, Thursday, your Saturday. I would say the other days are a little thin this week, especially Wednesday, Sunday. They're light. So you better actually just nail these big nights here. And if you don't, then you just may be SOL. But we are at the hour 10 mark. This has been a great show tonight. Gail, thanks so much for actually jumping in. Your recurring guest. We're definitely going to have you on throughout the season. I'm going to be getting into the track season. You're, not actually going to be in track season this year. You may have a little bit more time on your hands. So between you, Aaron, JT, and I, we'll get this thing going. Continue to actually to slide downhill here, but I want to appreciate all of our listeners tonight tuning in to Fantasy and Frames Around the Ice. Again, please subscribe on YouTube. You can find us at Fantasy and Frames, keeping 4 eyes on the puck. Also on X at Fantasy in Frames Hockey. That's FIF Hockey. Please subscribe. Give us a thumbs up. Hit us up on the X as well. I'd love to actually hear from some people that are actually listening to our shows, and they can actually, really give us some comments, some questions here, some trade possibilities. We will bring them up on the show in the event you actually hit us up. We'll even mention your name, give us some scenarios, and we will be happy to actually hash that out and actually duke it out and see who's actually going to win any trades. So I am Brian Toast Clark at Toast Clark on X, at Gail Clark 40 on the X as well. We will see you next week.